Oh. Alright folks, another night out in the woods. This time I am out in my hammock. I'm in the same woodland as before, just kind of getting used to the place really, but I'm here a lot earlier today, so I've got my fire going, my shelter's up, everything is all good. It's going to be another long, much colder night tonight, so I'm making sure I've got a good stock of firewood on. I'm pretty much there. I think I've got enough to last me most of the night, so my next task is to get a bit of a light lunch on the go. So food's kind of my thing at the minute. I love cooking, I love cooking on the campfire, and I really feel like you've earned your meal when you've cooked something good on the campfire. But it's quite tricky at this time of year because I'm up against the daylight hours, so it's like coming up for 1:30 now, so that means I've only got 3 hours of daylight left. So I'm going to have some chorizo and cheese kebabs for a light lunch, and then for my evening meal, my dinner, my tea, I've got some salmon fillets, and I'm going to do some like fried up potatoes with those in theory. So the chorizo kebabs are kind of my own invention, and I'm not sure if they're going to work, because when I was in the supermarket I was like, oh, do I get halloumi or do I just go for like a nice Lancashire cheese? And in the end I just kind of panicked and went for the Lancashire cheese, and now I'm thinking definitely should have gone for the halloumi because it doesn't really melt the same. So we'll soon find out how they go. I think I'm going to try and make 2 or 3 of them. So my first job for that is I've got to cut some nice green sticks. Let's go. Should do a bit of poplar or aspen down here, so it's pretty green, so ideal for cooking with. But I'm not cutting from a live tree. This is a branch that's like fallen off in a storm. It's completely split at the bottom but still pretty green inside, so I just want some reasonably straight bit to this. There's so much stuff that's like down and still green from that storm Arwen. It was like I think it was before Christmas. Yeah, it was before Christmas, and we're now, you know, middle of January, so yeah, an abundance of stuff, but because it's been so wet and so cold, it's just like still alive basically. It takes such a long time for it all to dry out. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to take the bark off these sticks. I'm using my little BHK patch knife. There it is, lovely little knife. And I'm going to try and I'm not going to be really fancy with these. I'm just going to mainly just take the bark off and kind of carve them into a roughly triangular or square, dependent on how I'm feeling, shape. And the sort of edges of that will stop the food sliding around. I'm only going to make 2 because I'm not massively hungry, and it won't be long before I'm cooking my main meal because it's going to get dark quickly. Let's say pure experimentation here. Never done this before. Don't even know whether it's going to cook properly. Right, I've got more of a triangular cross section there. So the chorizo skewers on just fine, but then the cheese, especially these super thin pieces, just split, like totally just split. Cause I should have got halloumi. I think that would have skewered a lot better. Yeah, it just doesn't want to go on at all. I'm hoping the chorizo might wedge it nicely. Sorry, I keep going out of shot. Okay, the worst kebabs ever. Pure just experimentation. Let's get these on the fire, see how they cook. I strongly suspect that the cheese is simply just going to melt off, but I've let the fire die down to sort of just a passable heat. That's not quite in enough, is it? It'll do. So yeah, the fire's just like, it's hot enough to start heating stuff through, but because that cheese has split so much, I am really concerned that it is literally just going to melt off, so I'll just be eating slightly cheesy chorizo. Let's try our first kebab. I lost most of my cheese, man. Yeah, definitely got to change the brand of cheese. Bit too melty, which is a shame because Lancashire creamy cheese is one of my favourites. Chorizo's good though because it's like protein and fat, isn't it? Oh. It's just a real shame about that cheese. I'm still getting some of it, but what a silly decision to make. Definitely needs to be like halloumi, which I think would skewer on better as well. The thing is, like, I'm not massive on halloumi, which is why I decided not to do it. Like, I'll eat it, it's okay, but it's not my favourite. So what I did was, when I finished these off, I moved them really close to the embers to just sort of like sear the outside and make it go crispy, which I wasn't sure about, but I'm glad that I did, because that it's like crunchy on the outside, just like a little bit of crunch rather than just soft food. I find a lot of camping food tends to be like on the soft side, so I like to have a bit more sort of bite to it, which that does perfectly. And to be honest, that was a good portion as well. Just the two did me all right. I would have liked some veg in there. I just don't know how I can get the pepper to the site in the rucksack that I've got without smushing it. I'll come up with something. So for tomorrow morning, I've just collected a bunch of, it's a combination of very, very dry, very, very thin birch twigs, but I've mixed in some really dry, quite thin beech sticks as well. I'm just going to bundle it up with a little bit of a bramble withy. It's a bit early in the year for making bramble withies, but it just keeps it tidy. And then I can just shove this, oh, the end of that's dead. I can just shove this under my tarp till tomorrow then, and it'll stay lovely and dry. There we go. Not perfect, but it'll do the job. Put some more sheets of this birch for tomorrow morning as well. Textbook birch sheets, lovely stuff. Ooh. I'm collecting it from a dead fallen log, and it's beautifully coming away from the cambium layer as well. Really nice. Look at that. So I'll get this dried out tonight. Fire will start in no time tomorrow. the light and the temperature are slowly fading now. I do think it's going to be a bit of a chilly one tonight. It's overcast, so I don't think there's going to be any frost, so it's not going to dip into the negatives, but it's certainly chilly. I've gone for my blue jumper, inspired by Jamie over at Bushcraft and his blue tunic. I thought it actually looked really cool, so I dug out my old blue jumper because I was just like, I just want something cozy and warm to wear. I've got my big swan dry smock for later on, but unfortunately sitting down on the ground is going to be fairly cold tonight. All I've got to sit on is this stump, and it's an issue that I'm still trying to kind of figure out, because you can do like the wool blanket chairs and stuff, but the problem with them is there's quite a lot of effort involved, and you have to bring the blanket, or you have to lean it up against a tree, which means that you're too far away from the fire. So they're great, but I think they're more of a sort of summer thing, really. I'm trying to come up with some kind of simple woodcraft solution to seating that doesn't require a colossal amount of work. Like, there's all kinds of different chairs you can build and craft, but because the daylight hours are so short, you're very, very restricted on what you're actually able to do in that amount of time. So yeah, it's challenging, and it's kind of like after a while your back starts to hurt. So I just want to be able to lean back, but the ground is so wet, and it's the ground wetness that is the biggest issue. I might have to get like a large waterproof, a huge sit mat or something like that. I don't know, like I can use my LK rucksack as a backrest, but you're still just getting wet and cold where you're actually in contact with the ground. It's a real issue, and I've tried to research it, and I'm basically pulled up nothing. It's just before I cook, I'll show you my setup because I'm quite happy with it. So I've rigged the LK35 up like I did last time with just a couple of fork sticks wedged into the ground behind it. I've got my seat mat in front of it, and I've just kind of pitched it back so I can kind of lean back and relax a little bit. But the problem I was having was my legs were getting wet and damp and cold from touching the floor. So I've collected up some spruce boughs, I don't know if you can see them, and I've just laid them out kind of like almost like a half bed just for my legs to sit on. It's not too much of an issue with my boots, they just sit off the end of it, but it's working an absolute treat. It is now 5:30, so it's time to fry up some potatoes and fish. Let's go. Oh, one of them just doesn't want to flip. There we go. So I need to make sure that these are absolutely cooked through, and we're good to go. Okay, let's try it out. Is my bag? Let's just sort this out, make sure that's not going to collapse while I'm eating. Had to get in it, didn't I? All right, let's see, we got enough ISO and such? Yeah. All right, let's try the salmon first, shall we? Oh, cooked to perfection. It's so frustrating, like, because it's for YouTube, you're trying to make it look really good, but because it's dark, it always just looks rubbish, especially under the light of like a harsh white LED torch. But it's good. The potatoes are really good. Oh, the potatoes are cooked perfectly. I just love this kind of simple cooking, but with like lots of flavours. It's really nice. So I saw a post on Facebook the other day that kind of irritated me a little bit, where it was like, oh, these YouTubers, all they do is they go and they camp out and they cook and they light a fire. And I was kind of like, well, yeah, that's what you do. That's what's real. That's like how it is in the outdoors. it just all looks a bit naff when you're trying to do it, you know, on muddy, mulchy ground, and it's a bit damp and grey and there's no light left. But oh my gosh, that salmon is so good. Like, oh, if you could taste this. That's everything squared away for the night, apart from my seat, which still isn't quite right. I'll adjust that properly in a moment. It's all to do with this sort of constant slope that's everywhere. But to wash down my evening meal, I've got a lovely bottle of cherry wine. Let's give it a try. Oh, I was hoping that would pop, but it didn't. So this was a gift at Christmas. It's homemade, and I expect it to be potent. Let's give it a try. Ooh, that's good. And it tastes strong. Let's have a quick look at that. Put it on the camera, shall we? There it is. Oh, that's a bit bright. Ah, lovely. Lovely clear cherry wine. I think the cherries came from the forest where I work, so that's always good. Now, why do you keep sliding, my old chum? It's because you've been rearranged, isn't it? That should be better. So for the rest of the night, I'm going to sit here, enjoy the fire, possibly move a little closer to it, and I'm going to have a little write in my journal, and I'm going to listen to the sounds of the forest. Lovely stuff. Oh, morning folks. Lovely morning. Certainly chilly, but it is beautiful. Birds are singing. It feels like spring's trying to make its way here, even though it's a little bit too early for that. I've got my wood that I collected yesterday ready for the fire. So we're going to just get going now. Try not to knock my birch dust everywhere. I collected some extra bits of birch bark and stuff as well, just while I was potting around of the evening. So let's see if I can get this to light, shall we? It's really nice having everything just like dry and ready to go. Plus I kept some of the burnt logs from yesterday. I let them go out just before I went to bed and shoved them dried burnt logs under the tarp, so that's kept them dry. It did rain a little bit overnight, but it was quite pleasant. I love listening to the rain in my tarp, so I like it when it rains overnight but not during the day, you know. There we go, that birch bark's taken. I'm basically just going to get all the birch bark on, I don't need any more. I'm leaving today, so. Just get it on in strips. Didn't go well. Okay, get that on with the sticks. Those sticks should just take as they are. Old bramble withy from yesterday. Lovely. All right, starting to get some breakfast on the go. Nice simple one, just doing pancakes again. They are my favourite. So, same as the last time we were here. But as I'm making it, I wanted to ask you some questions. So this is quite a new format of video making for me. I've never really had the chance to do overnighters before, because when I've been out and done them, I've never really had permission for the places that I've been. So I've never really bothered with the filming, because I'm arriving just before dark and then leaving like the moment it's light, usually during the summer in the early mornings. So filming these types of videos are a little bit challenging for me. I don't really know what to include, because I'm usually just out here to enjoy being out, but I'm enjoying filming the overnighters. So my question to you is, what do you want to see on these overnight camping videos? What interests you? Do you want a bit more detail with the cooking, my sleep setups, my routines, how to do stuff? Because I'm obviously used to filming like tutorials. So yeah, let me know, hit me up in the comments. Are you happy with them just the way they are? I don't want to, with the recording of these trips, I don't want to fall into the routine of, like, you know, turn up, cook a bit of food, go to sleep, cook some breakfast, go home. I want to make things interesting and engaging, but it's difficult to kind of judge what people actually want to see in them. This is powdered egg, and it's great for hiking and bushcraft cooking and stuff, but it honks, absolutely stinks. Whew. Bit of egg in there, there we go. And then a tiny bit of salt. I need a better method of carrying small amounts of like spices and stuff. I've seen a lot of these like these like camping spice kits, but they seem like such a good idea, but when you look at them, they're so bulky, and you get like 3 pots and it's just not enough. And I've been reading loads of like campfire cooking books, and you know, like Ray Mears's Wilderness Chef, and they're great, the recipes in them are fab, but there's no indication of how to actually physically carry the stuff. By the time you've added in like your frying pan or billy can, and all of the stuff that you actually need to survive, it's really difficult. Like, you're so limited on space, especially when, like me, you're carrying gigantic cameras and stuff around. So yeah, just a bit of a ramble. So I love these pancakes, they're so easy to make. The only downside to them is they're quite messy to clean up after, which is frustrating. Last ingredient is good old water. Whew. Just put fresh wood on the fire and it's really smoky. So yeah, just a question of kind of what you want to see. Obviously, I make these videos because I enjoy making them, which is reason number 1. But I also really enjoy the idea that you guys get some valuable viewing out of it. It's quite important to me, and I feel like in a lot of the outdoors space, there's very much a lot of the same old. When you're watching these like camping videos, there's very few where you get like unique content. So yeah, what kind of stuff do we not see on YouTube generally, and what would you like to see on this here YouTube channel? All right, so I've got a ground sheet under here, so the pan isn't coming in with me, but I can still serve up. Whoa! Out here, under hill. Oh, a little bit toasty on one side, actually, that is. There we go. Finally got there in the end. Right, let's see how that tastes. Oh, look at that. All to that effort and the rain stopped. Brilliant. but I am, oh, that is so fluffy and it's like, I've got this thing about things being crunchy on the outside and then soft in the middle, and this hits the mark perfectly. Oh, good, but far from my best. All right then, folks, so got a bit distracted there. Tony, the guy who owns the woodland, turned up and took me for a bit of a walk around, so I finished up my pancake, went for a walk, but unfortunately it's now time to pack up and go home, so I'm just burning the last little bits of the fire. I tried to get rid of all these like burnt ends before I leave anywhere, so then it's just ash that will just drain away with the water and you're not leaving burnt bits of charcoal all over the place. So yeah, another lovely night out in the woods. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I've got to finish packing down now. The camera battery is about to die, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you all for watching. Take care of yourselves, enjoy the outdoors, and bye for now.